Now, time for some business, and some 11 commercial banks in the country could soon fold up. That if steps are not taken to quickly clear huge debt owed by some state-owned institutions. Geography has more in the rest of the story.
Majority of the institutions that could be collapsing because of this development are said to be local banks. This issue came up in October last year after two accounting firms that were commissioned by the IMF to measure the current status of banks in the country recommended that steps should be taken to recapitalize these banks to prevent them from going under or folding up. Finance Minister Setekpe recently in an interview with the Daily Graphic noted that the IMF is, for instance, demanding work to be completed on a strategy to recapitalize some of these banks as part of what he describes as new conditions the fund is pushing before the executive board of the IMF meets to review Ghana's performance under the program. For some industry analysts and even some banks the Joy Business have spoken to, the challenge have come about because of the inability of some state-owned institutions, especially those in the energy and power sector, to pay loans granted to them on time, and even some private firms that have rendered services to government, but the payment have delayed. Some financial analysts that Joy Business have spoken to also argue that they find this development interesting, following recent report by the Bank of Ghana that commercial banks in the country are in a sound financial position following two stress tests carried out. For some of these state-owned institutions, they argue that they are not able to pay these loans because government is owing them. Some banking analysts have also argued that even if these banks do not go under, the development could result in interest rates hitting the roof as some banks try to pass on the delays in paying these loans to new borrowers.
And in other stories, the communications manager of Ghana Gas Company, Alfredo Gbami, says the current reduction in gas supply from the Atuabo processing plant to the VRA's power plant at Abuade is as a result of adverse weather conditions upstream the Jubilee field, which has made delivery of gas from the FPSO very difficult. Gas supply to the VRA has currently been curtailed from 87 million standard cubic feet a day to about 46.7 million, a situation affecting regular power supply throughout the country. In an interview with Joy Business, Alfredo Gbami says the situation is expected to normalize by the end of this week when favorable weather conditions are expected on the Jubilee fields.
We are a midstream company receiving gas from the upstream supplier, which is the Tallow and Partners, the partners of the Jubilee field. As you well know, the Jubilee field is operated by the Jubilee field partners, which is led by Tallow. They are the lead operator. And they informed us a couple of days ago that due to adverse weather conditions on the Jubilee field, they would have to reduce gas supply to us. So there's been a dip in supply from the maximum 85 million standard cubic feet of gas a day to 46.7 m/scarf. As a result, yes, from 85 million scarf to 46.7 million scarf from the FPSO. Consequently, we're equally giving 46 million scarf to the VRA. The 0.7 is used in the generation of LPG, condensate, and running of the plant. So indeed, we are receiving what we are getting. We are passing on what we are getting to the VRA. We were given a timeline of about a week. That's beginning the 7th to the 14th. So we're expecting that by weekend, the situation should or would have been resolved. That's the information we have from Tallow and Partners. And our expectation is that by weekend, it would have resolved whatever challenges they're facing and resume optimum supply within the current situation.
So that'll be it for the midday business. Yeah, my name is John Kojo. I'm working for more business stories. You can join me between 1 and 1:30 on the marketplace for more. Coming up next is your sports.